Hi, my name is Carol Zari, and I'm going to be talking this afternoon about student engagement and how technology can help with this problem. I have recently had changed jobs and had some issues with my students not coming to class prepared, which I'm sure everyone has probably heard that problem before. But because it's become a real issue, especially with the way we're having to teach now with COVID, we can't really spare any time to lose to catch people up. So I've really struggled with this, and the new program that I'm in, it's very first year of the program, and the students, we want to make sure that they like it. And I know that may not be the way it's supposed to happen, but I think they've probably been spoon-fed a little longer than what they should have. So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can, without pointing fingers at them, we can get them engaged into learning and learning more on their own. So I'm going to present to you today my project that is over preparation and student engagement. And I'm going to hide this control panel real quick. Hide video. There we go. Okay. So first, I want to talk about the problem. And I kind of mentioned that a little bit. And also, I want to say how this project has been really good for me, and I'm really excited to present what I found. I think hopefully it'll help everyone. I know it certainly has helped me, and I appreciate the opportunity to do this assignment. So the problem, lack of preparation for class. I mentioned that they don't come to class prepared. And this group of students are passive learners. They want things handed to them. And I don't think that's necessarily their fault. I think that's just what they're used to. And getting them motivated to be active learners has been very difficult. And one specific thing, they've had a lot of trouble giving literature reviews and analyzing it and figuring out what does it mean, or what do I need to look at to figure that out. So they've had a lot of struggles with that, and that's the direction that I wanted to go. What do I think has caused this problem? They haven't been held accountable. They tend to depend on their instructors to give them the information, and if they don't, then they'll sit back and wait until the instructors do. And what was found in the literature, one thing that I found that was really interesting, and this could be a generational thing, but if a student's family gave them opportunities to make their own decisions and solve problems, they were more likely to be self-directed learners. These students with their lack of motivation, definitely a problem. And I found in the literature, it did say that self-directed learners have a more positive academic scores. How does that relate to motivation? Well, if they feel that they can't do something, they're probably not going to try. If they feel like they can do it, then it's got to be easy enough for them to do it. That's where we're at right now. They don't see it as a priority or a need. I think they're coming, and these are graduate students, but they're coming to school still as a student and not as a future clinician. And I think that's where things are kind of getting messed up with their priorities. We've got to find a way to put it to them that what they're learning needs to be a priority, because they're going to use it in their future. And another thing that I found in the literature was the academic stress correlates negatively with self-directed learning. So no doubt that these students are stressed. They have never had to learn this way. The whole COVID pandemic has been a problem. So it's got their priorities all out of whack. They probably don't even know what's up right now. I understand that. I'm in school. I've got that same problem. However, I do have the motivation, and I have made it a priority, but we've got to figure out how to teach these students how to make it a priority. The environment itself can cause stress. For example, what we have in our school is we've got 3 different classrooms. One classroom I teach out of, the other 2 are getting zoomed in and they can't hear. So that's a problem with the environment, just having to be online or not being able to come to school. So there's a lot of environmental stress. And again, the study by Hio and Han showed that the lack of motivation and high academic stress is negatively correlated to self-directed learning. So what are my approaches? Here's what I want to bring to the table and pull together for this project. First, I want to look at the expectancy value theory. And I'm doing that because I think it's based off of motivation and self-directed learning. So I think that was a really good theory to base my approach on. I also think I feel strongly about the flipped classroom. I've used it in the past. It's worked wonders, especially in the healthcare education, because they can practice what they're learning in class, and we can see that if they got the concepts or not. And then the self-directed learning strategies that I would like to teach them. And I do believe I have come up with an application that is going to help with all of these things. What is the expectancy value theory? That is where the student takes their expectations of what their success will be, whether they feel like they have the ability to positively succeed or not succeed at all. And that puts a value to it. So how valuable is it to that student to be successful? And once that is established, then they can achieve. And even if they feel like they can't be successful, but the value of it is high, then they will persist and continue to do it until they get it. Or if the value is high or the value is low and they know they can do it, then they know they're going to make a good grade. So they're going to go ahead and do it. So we have to figure out a way to balance this. So the flipped classroom, it uses technology and it uses this before class. And this is where we're going to get to the application that I want to use. The application that I'm using is Perusal, and it is a annotation tool. It's called a social annotation tool. And then during or before class, they're going to use that tool to learn concepts and theory, foundational kind of things, such as through literature reviews, book chapters, YouTube videos. All of those things can be incorporated into this application that I'm going to show you. And then they'll have the opportunity to have active learning during class. And that's where we will do problem solving, applying concepts, and they'll have their hands-on experience during class. What is self-directed learning? Self-directed learning is a goal-oriented process. And the students they independently take on the process of learning, and they own the responsibility for it. They have an awareness of their thinking and learning and knowing abilities, so they are well in tune with themselves. They're able to identify the task issues. So if they have a problem learning, they can say, I learn better with written material than I do with auditory material. They are able to choose strategies that will help them accomplish the task. So maybe they need a recorder or whatever it is that they need to use to get their information. These students tend to have a high level of motivation. That's kind of what it calls, when it says it's self-directed, you would think that they would have to have a high level of motivation to be a self-directed learner. So what we need to do as teachers is we need to get these students in that position. How do we get them to the point of having a high level of motivation? How do we teach them to be self-directed learners? And I think this goes back to what I was saying about the expectancy theory, sorry, the expectancy value theory. That's where the teachers have to provide them with things that they can be successful with, kind of like just-in-time teaching, or low cognitive load, or a good cognitive load, and then as well as that zone of proximal learning. So we have to be able to establish what each student or group of students may need and how they can get to that level so they do want to be motivated. And one way to do that is we need to set clear goals, make sure that the goals are perfectly understood. And this application is another, all of these things need to be done throughout this application, which I'll show you shortly. They need to have an appropriate workload. Are we giving them too much because of COVID, or are we not giving them enough? And then they're just bored. They come to class knowing they're going to get it anyway, so why should they look at it? Kind of think that's where we're at right now with that. Not exactly sure, haven't done any research on that, but I kind of feel that's where we're at. And we also have to be fair in our assessment. And I think this is another issue that we're having. We're giving a lot of grace right now with the grading. And so when they make an A, every time you grade them, they have no more motivation because they think they're going to get it. So we have to meet them halfway with that. And again, encourage them to engage in self-directed learning and show them how it works. So what I'm going to do is use the Perusal Social Annotation tool. This is a tool that you can use. It's very similar to Facebook. And when you can upload all of your material, and they actually have ebooks that they've gotten contracts with these different companies, such as Elsevier, Slack. They have all those books that they can upload, or that we can use for free as instructors. The students would have to purchase them, but they're going to have to purchase a book anyway. And so what happens is we upload the assignments through Perusal. And this can be an article review or book pages. It can be a video. Multiple things can be added in here, which I'm absolutely just really excited about. And so it's uploaded, and then you give the students the assignment to read the article and annotate it. And as they're going through the article, they are to annotate if they don't understand what it's saying. They can write it out like you would a Facebook post. And then everyone in the class can see those posts, and that way they can respond to them, or they can like them, or they can say, yes, I'm confused about this. So as they're reading through the article, they are actually teaching each other. The instructors can go through those articles themselves and put in questions. What do you think about this? Or can you further explain that? Where might you find this answer? What were your thoughts on this? So trying to get more of the metacognitive thinking and the clinical thinking going on. So I'm thrilled to show y'all this. And there is evidence that shows that this has been very beneficial. Leo and Young, they did a study using Perusal and found that students averaged 12 comments between the two assignments. So for both assignments, they put in 12 comments in this application. And if you're doing a discussion board, we usually say, hey, we only want you to, you only have to do 2, or you only have to do 1 reply. But in this, you leave it open, and they didn't tell them how many that they needed to do. And the students did 12. So that was pretty good. And then Miller, in his study, yielded 13 comments per student. And also went a little further, where their exam, they measured the exam scores before and after, and it was a 5 to 10% improvement, with perusal. And then they also noted that 80% of the students completed 100% of reading assignments. How many of us would just die to have our students do that? Seriously. My students, we probably have 20% right now that are finished, that are doing it, and maybe not even that much. They just don't see the importance of it. And they also found that students spent 3 hours and 20 minutes per week reading for the course, not studying, but reading for the course. I don't know that my students are doing that. Haven't tested it, but doubt very seriously. They did say though that the exam results improved for the students who spaced out their reading over the period of time that they had to read it. And then Sewer et al. Found a positive relationship between the amount of annotations and exam scores. So this very positive literature reviews. I think one of them probably may have had a bias to perusal. 2 of them did not. There were some concerns about the application, and it's more on how we present it than it is on the application itself. So it does require that we make all the assignments transparent, make sure that the students understand it all. An overall perception of perusal, and when you first look at it, it can look really like, oh gosh, we've got another application that we have to learn, got to learn this on top of that. So I think some students had initially a knee-jerk reaction that it was not as easy as it actually was. And another thing that they found, there were some in the studies whose teachers didn't move forward with the annotations. In other words, they just let the students go through and annotate, and then they didn't use what they found. For those the teachers that did use it, the students did better. So for example, the app itself will show you where the most confusion is within an article or within a book. And I just think that's cool in itself. But if the teachers did not clear that up in class, then that could be a problem with the students understanding the material. And another thing, which we know we're going to have these students, those that wait to post at the very last minute, they had more difficulty answering questions or posting appropriate stuff. And what's really nice about perusal is it measures the depth and content of what the students put in there. There is some sort of algorithm that makes that happen. I don't know what it is, but it was pretty cool. Okay, so what are some things that I would tell you to take away, some takeaways for perusal? One thing is that the selected text that you choose, whatever you put in there, needs to be meaningful. Because again, remember with the expectancy value theory, if it's not important to them, they're not going to do it. If it doesn't reap a reward, they're not going to do it. So we need to make sure that what we're putting in there, we really need to put in there. It also mentioned that group size is important. So if we've got a lot of students, like we have 30 in our program, we would need to break our readings down to 10 in a group so we can handle it better. And then the assignments should stimulate the students' replies to each other. So hopefully when the students put their annotations in, it is in such a way that other students will become interested in it, rather than me just telling them what it's saying. They're having to interpret it for themselves. And so it's like making it interesting for the other students to go and look further into it. One of the articles actually said that the students actually pulled in other material from past readings into the material that they were looking at, and which I think is just fabulous, because most of the time they forget what they looked at before. So getting them to pull out that material from past lectures and use it to explain what's going on in this lecture, I think that was very positive. Also, the grading of the annotations should be clear, and that's, I mean, that's probably a no-brainer, but we need to make sure that what we're looking for, we have it written in our assignments. And we need to show them what a good annotation looks like. I know sometimes I'm like, can you just come up with it on your own? Because I want to see what you think it should look like, talking to the students. But I have found that, and I'm getting better about giving examples, because it's not cheating. It's just showing them what is expected. Now, if they go back and copy it, yeah, that may be cheating, but we would definitely count off for that. And the students understand that. And that being said, they need to get timely feedback. And the group of students that I have right now, I have noticed they are more responsive to the instructors that give timely feedback than they are to the other ones that don't. And that was one thing that I promised myself when I took this job, because I'm bad about waiting to grade things. And so I said, I'm not going to do that. And I have been really good about getting my stuff graded on time. And the students even say they appreciate it. So I think that does help. So they have time to go back and relook at things. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to go to the Perusal website, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it. But what I want you to do, you'll be able to use this same, you'll be able to go into my assignment if you go to perusal.com, and it's free to sign up. So you sign up for an account free, and then you use my my code here, and you can get into my classroom, and you can be a student in there. And the article that I've uploaded is one of the studies that was done on Perusal, and it's very interesting. So I highly encourage you. I'd really like to see more people do that, so I can see how they grade it. Okay, so I'm going to go out of here real quick. And I'm going to go to Perusal. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. And then you go to log in. Maybe log in. There we go. I already got it pre. Okay, so when I'm in here, this is my instructor's site. And of course, as a student, it would look a little different. But this is my instructor site. And so my course that I'm sharing with you guys is Introduction to Perusal. And in here, you can see my, you'll have a profile where you can change this. You can tour it, help and support, and sign out. And then over here, we have options to create a course, copy a course, enroll in a course. They can create a study group for informal discussions, and then they can also browse the catalogs. Sounds like my kitty cat is wanting to come in my door. Okay, so here's what I want to show you with the catalog. I'll show you that real quick. In the catalog, they have so many books here. So what I did, and you see it says all disciplines. So I'm just going to go to occupational therapy. I'm going to type that in. Maybe, there we go. Occupational therapy is here. And here are some occupational therapy books that are available to use within Perusal. And I've gotten several already uploaded to mine. There's the Pedretti, which I was like, oh my, I can't believe that one's in there. You've got some sensory integration. There's actually, you see here showing 9 of 16 out of 90 titles that could be used for occupational therapy alone. So I think that's really fantastic. So let's go back over here, and I'm going to open up, as an instructor, I'm going to open up my course. And I'm going to kind of show you through here what I did. So I went to add an assignment to this course. I had to set up the course first, and that it's really not hard to learn how to do this. I was surprised that how easy it was. So it looks very similar to Blackboard over here. If y'all are familiar with Blackboard, or really any of our, I've kind of used them all, any of our LMS here. And that is another thing. It can be uploaded into an LMS. Some universities already have it in their system. So here I went to add an assignment, and then here, let me just add an assignment and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to add an assignment, content to assign. Let's say I just do this one again, which is what's in this course. I had to upload material to the course, and this is it. So I would assign let's just say I want to do a page, just page 1. I'm going to go 1 to 1, or I could have done all, but I'm just going to do it like here. Save changes. Okay. And so what I can do in here is put I'm going to go to edit. Okay. And then I'm going to set the name and deadline, and I would do that here, and I would say whatever the instructions you want to say, complete annotation before midnight. Not the type of instructions I'd really do, but I'm like, oh, and see how you've got here, you've got the emojis and all that stuff too, so that they can use that. Now, what I will be able to find in these assignments is I can extend a deadline if I wanted to. I will be able to see the analytics, and you see there's a confusion report, and then I can open this up to see all comments. So I have already had my faculty I sent all of this to my faculty, the first assignment that I did, and I wanted them to try and use it because I wanted to see what they thought about it. And so once they did that, I'm going to show you, I'm going to open it. And here are the instructions that I wrote. And if you get into this, you'll be able to see all of this stuff as well as a student. And so here's the article that I uploaded. Here's the article that I uploaded. And here, over here is where you can either add a conversation or see what all conversations were. You go through and you highlight the different areas, and I'll show you some things that I've done. So I'm going to look at all conversations. Here's where it started. So if I click on this right here, then that's going to pull up that first conversation that I started. And I said, this is the issue I am targeting for my assignment. And it says it will show how the platform can be used to understand how students are reading before class. I am so sorry, I don't have my glasses on. And so one of my fellow instructors wrote back to my comment right here and said, also, this is done asynchronously, so I think it's a benefit. Okay, that was what one person said. So if I go to my next comment, and I said, this works well for teaching strategies. Notice this doesn't say lectures are required pre-class. We can use readings or YouTube videos. We can use small video snippets as well. Nobody responded to me on that one. So let me see, let me go back to all, and I'll pull up something. Okay, let's see. It's not showing me. Sorry. There, okay. So this is what I said, yikes, this tool will be able to give us the amount of time spent on the assignment, which I'm really am excited about that. And then one person mentioned, I almost always give some type of assignment ahead of class. Why should they read when so many instructors lecture out of the book, which is true. If they are just going to hear the same thing, they read, that doesn't make much sense. And then she was not sure how to separate the comments out. And I'm pretty sure responded to that. So here's another comment that I put. I really like this approach to this study. I want to go to the bottom, down to the end. And like my last question that I gave them, do you agree with this? Why or why not? And so that's kind of what we would do with our students as well. Give them the opportunity to reason through what was said in there. But all three of the people that answered this did like the application. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the fun stuff. We're going to go back over to the course home, and then over here you see the analytics. I'm going to pull this up. It shows a grade distribution, which doesn't have a whole lot because I didn't have a whole lot of people. But if you guys add to it, then I will have more. And then annotation submission team time heat map. It's going to take me a little while to understand all of these. I'm not real sure what that one does. Page view report. Okay, so this takes you through all of the pages, and it tells you how many views there were. That's kind of cool. Average view time in minutes is the orange line. So this can tell you how long the students are viewing the page. Then another one is student activity report. So this is what I really like. So here we have the last name, the first name, viewing time, active reading time, number of annotations. So she did 8. I'm not sure why this is showing a 0 viewing time when they actually read it. So that I would have to look at that. But here Julie did 22 minutes on hers. So that was, I guess she did better than anyone else did. And she did, because she had 10 annotations. Okay, so grade distribution. Oh, and the scores are from 0 to 3. So that's good, fair, and poor. So 2 of the students did well. So that was Amy and Julie, and then Kim, not so much. I didn't tell them their scores. Anyway, so that's kind of how that works. There's lots of things that I still haven't learned about it yet, but I'm really excited about learning it. I am going to be using this for my next semester classes. And I guess here's a student view. So this is what it's very similar to what it looked like for me. You can add it, they can add all of this to their calendar. Oh, and I almost forgot. One really neat thing is when someone, it really is like Facebook, because they can like the comment, they can comment on it. And when they do, they get a notice through their email that someone has commented on their comment. And I get an email knowing when someone actually adds to it. So it is a running thing, and you can respond to it through the email system. So you don't have to go into this application to respond to it, which I think is really, really nice. I was able to respond to a couple of them through email and never had to open up the app at all. So that's really, really nice. Okay, so I want to get back and finish. So again, if you want to try it out, use my code, go to perusal.com and use my code ZariCore-AXWY9, and you should be able to get into the program. Another prompt for this assignment was assessment, and how would I assess it to see if it's actually working? Well, what I would want to do first is give a student engagement self-report questionnaire before they ever start this, and they would need to take an exam of some sort before they ever started using Perusal. And I would have them give me a projection of what their performance would be. Do they think they're going to make an A on the test, a B on the test? What do they think they're going to do? And then also tell me how much time they spent studying for the test. And what type of studying did they do? Did they read? Did they listen to videos or whatever? So that they would tell me those things prior to taking an exam. Then after the exam, they would reflect on their actual performance. What did they actually make? And if it was below expectations, what changes needed to be made? What's something that they could have done better? Or if the expectations were met, what did they do good? What was something that really worked? And I'll tell you, I did this with my classes for the past 6 years, and almost, I would say at least 85 to 90% of the ones that did well on the test said that they read their material. And that's another reason why I think this is so important. And then also on the assessment, perusal gives us our statistics, so we can use that to see if they're progressively getting better. And so I would compare what the students said with an exam prior to using perusal, and then I would use perusal to tell me what they actually did with the reading and how well they did on their exam. Another thing that I had read in some of the material was that students over project how much they studied and how much they read. So sometimes it may look like they didn't actually read as much as what they said they did. However, the exam scores do increase. So I think that's a plus. Okay, so that is all of my presentation, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. I really liked doing this this activity. I learned a lot, and I'm hoping if anyone has any questions, hopefully you'll jump onto my perusal classroom and we'll see what goes. You feel free to put questions in there. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, but the best thing to do is go on there and try it. Thank you for listening, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.